This sleep story is based on Disney's Tangled, the story of Rapunzel, but this will be told from the view of Flynn Rider. Please find a comfortable place to sit or lie down as we visit the magical land. Let's begin. I never thought I'd find myself scaling the towers of Corona's royal castle. But then again, I never thought I'd become Flynn Rider either. The name's Eugene Fitzherbert, but don't go spreading that around. Flynn Rider is the dashing rogue everyone knows and loves, or loves to hate, depending on who you ask. As I shimmed up the castle walls, my partners in crime, the Stabbington brothers, waited below. The crown of the lost princess was within reach, and with it, my ticket to the life I'd always dreamed of. Islands, palaces, riches beyond measure. It was all so close, I could taste it. The guard rotation was like clockwork, just as we'd observed for weeks. 3, 2, 1. And I was in. The throne room was empty, bathed in sunlight streaming through the stained glass windows. And there it was, sitting on a pedestal, like it was waiting for me, the crown. I couldn't help but pause for a moment. It was beautiful, sure, but it was more than that. This crown represented everything I'd ever wanted. Respect, admiration, the kind of life where I'd never have to worry about where my next meal was coming from. As I lifted the crown, a guard sneezed. "Ugh, hay fever," I quipped, unable to resist. The chase was on, guards shouting, feet pounding on stone. It was exhilarating. We raced through the town, over rooftops and into the forest. The Stabbington brothers were right behind me, but I had the satchel with the crown. And well, let's just say I've always been good at improvising. As we delved deeper into the forest, I couldn't shake the feeling that something big was about to change. But hey, that's the life of Flynn Rider for you. Always on the edge. Always one step ahead. Or so I thought. The forest was thick. The air was heavy with the scent of adventure. We'd lost the palace guards, but I knew better than to let my guard down. The Stabbington brothers were breathing down my neck, and I could practically feel their growing suspicion. "We've lost them," I panted, leaning against a tree. That's when I saw it. Another wanted poster with my face. "Oh no, 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 no. This is bad. This is very, very bad. This is really bad." I paused, staring at the image. They just can't get my nose right. The brothers weren't amused. "Who cares?" the one with the eye patch growled. "Well, it's easy for you to say," I retorted. "You guys look amazing." A sound in the distance caught our attention. The thundering of hooves. The palace guards had caught up. We ran, ducking under branches and leaping over fallen logs. The satchel with the crown bounced against my hip, a constant reminder of what was at stake. We hit a dead end, a sheer cliff face. I looked at the brothers, then at the cliff. "All right, okay, give me a boost and I'll pull you up." They exchanged a look. "Give us the satchel first." I can't believe that after all we've been through, you don't trust me?" Their stony expressions didn't change. Ouch! Reluctantly, I handed over the satchel. They hoisted me up, and I scrambled to the top of the cliff. "Now help us up, pretty boy," one of them demanded. I grinned, holding up the satchel I'd swiped back. "Sorry, my hands are full." Their angry shouts faded as I took off running. The thrill of outsmarting them mixed with the urgency of escape. I could hear the captain of the guards and his horses getting closer. I ducked behind a rock, holding my breath as they passed. But the horse, Maximus, I learned later, was too smart. He started sniffing around, and before I knew it, we were in a tug-of-war over the satchel. It went flying, landing on a branch extending from the cliff. In a moment of what I can only describe as Flynn Rider-esque bravado, I shimmied out onto the branch. The horse followed, because, of course he did. Just as I grabbed the satchel, I heard a crack. The branch gave way, and we were falling. I'd like to say I handled it with grace, but the truth is, I screamed all the way down. Somehow, I managed to land in one piece, hidden behind a curtain of vines. As I caught my breath, I realized I was staring at something impossible. A tower, hidden in the secluded valley. It was tall and ancient-looking, with no visible door, perfect for hiding out until the heat died down. I circled the base, found some arrows conveniently stuck in the stonework, and I started to climb. As I hauled myself through the window at the top, I allowed myself a moment of relief. "Alone at last," I sighed, opening the satchel to admire the crown. And then everything went black. When I came to, I was tied to a chair with, was that hair? Yards and yards of golden hair. And standing in the shadows, clutching a frying pan like a weapon, was a girl with the brightest green eyes I'd ever seen. Struggling is pointless," she said, her voice a mix of fear and determination. I've been in some tight spots before, but this was new. Tied to a chair with hair, and possibly long golden hair, and facing down a girl with a frying pan. Not exactly how I planned to spend my day. "Who are you? How did you find me?" the girl demanded, stepping into the light. I blinked, momentarily stunned. She was beautiful, in an odd, wide-eyed, clearly never left this tower kind of way. I cleared my throat, summoning every ounce of Flynn Rider charm. "I know not who you are, nor how I came to find you, but may I just say, hi." I flashed my best smolder. "How you doing? The name's Flynn Rider." She raised the frying pan higher. "Who else knows my location, Flynn Rider?" "All right, Blondie." "Rapunzel. Gesundheit. Here's the deal. I was in a situation gallivanting through the forest. I came across your tower and—" My eyes widened as I realized the satchel was gone. "Oh no, where's my satchel?" Rapunzel smirked, crossing her arms. "I've hidden it, somewhere you'll never find." I glanced around the room. "It's in that pot, isn't it?" Next thing I knew, everything went black again. When I came to, there was a chameleon on my shoulder, its tongue in my ear. "Would you stop that?" I grumbled. Rapunzel was pacing now, her hair trailing behind her like a golden river. "Now it's hidden in a place you'll never find it." She turned to me, determination in her eyes. "So, what do you want with my hair? To cut it? Sell it?" "What? No. Listen, the only thing I want to do with your hair is to get out of it. Literally." She paused, confused. "You don't want my hair?" "Why on earth would I want your hair? Look, I was being chased, I saw a tower, I climbed it. End of story." Rapunzel and the chameleon exchanged a look. She lowered her frying pan slightly. You're telling the truth?" "Yes." She circled me, those big green eyes studying me intently. "I'm prepared to offer you a deal, Flynn Rider." "A deal? This should be good." She pulled aside a curtain, revealing a painting of floating lights in a night sky. "Tomorrow evening, they will light the night sky with these lanterns. You will act as my guide, take me to these lanterns, and return me home safely. Then, and only then, will I return your satchel to you." I tried to reason with her. "Yeah, no can do. Unfortunately, the kingdom and I aren't exactly simpatico at the moment, so I won't be taking you anywhere." Rapunzel's expression hardened. She yanked on her hair, tipping my chair forward until we were face to face. "Something brought you here, Flynn Rider. Call it what you will. Fate, destiny, a horse," I deadpanned. "So I have made the decision to trust you. A horrible decision, really." Her eyes narrowed. "But trust me when I tell you this." She pulled me closer, her voice low and intense. "You can tear this tower apart brick by brick, but without my help, you will never find your precious satchel." I weighed my options. On one hand, venturing back into the kingdom was risky. On the other, no satchel meant no crown, and no crown meant no island, no palace, no new life. I sighed. "Let me get this straight. I take you to see the lanterns, bring you back home, and you'll give me back my satchel?" "I promise." She looked at me earnestly. "And when I promise something, I never, ever break that promise." I raised an eyebrow. "All right, listen. I didn't want to have to do this, but you leave me no choice. Here comes the smolder." I gave her my best, most dashing look, the one that had charmed countless ladies and a few gentlemen across the kingdom. Rapunzel just stared at me, unimpressed. I deflated. This is kind of an off day for me. This doesn't normally happen. I sighed deeply. "Fine, I'll take you to see the lanterns." Rapunzel squealed with delight, accidentally releasing my chair. I face-planted onto the floor, still tied up. "Oops," she winced. As I lay there, my face pressed against the cool stone, I couldn't but help wonder what I'd just gotten myself into. Getting down from the tower was an adventure itself. Rapunzel's hair, it turned out, was not just for tying up unsuspecting thieves. It was also her way in and out of the tower. As I slid down that golden rope, I couldn't help but wonder about the girl who'd spent her entire life in that stone prison. The moment Rapunzel's bare feet touched the grass, everything changed. I watched as she experienced the world for the first time. The feel of grass between her toes, the breeze on her face, the vast open sky above. It was, well, it was something else. "I can't believe this," she exclaimed, alternating between elation and panic. "I can't believe I did this. I can't believe I did this." I leaned against a boulder, arms crossed. "That's great. You did it. Now, let's get this over with and get you home." But Rapunzel was lost in her own world of discovery and guilt. "Mother would be so furious," she muttered, then brightened. "But that's okay. What she doesn't know won't kill her, right?" I raised an eyebrow. "Okay." And so began our journey. Rapunzel swung wildly between excitement and despair, determination and doubt. One minute she'd be racing ahead, marveling at every flower and stream, and the next she'd be curled up in a cave, rocking back and forth. "You know," I said as we trudged through a particularly muddy part of the forest, "I I can't help but notice you seem a little at war with yourself here." Rapunzel sighed, pulling her hair out of a thorny bush. "What do you mean?" "I mean, it's obvious you've got a thing with your mom. Overprotective, I'm guessing? Never let you out? Never let you do anything?" She looked at me, those big green eyes wide with surprise. "How did you know?" I shrugged. "I've seen it before, but hey, a little rebellion, a little adventure, that's good. Healthy even." "You think?" She smiled, hope blooming on her face. "Sure. And does your mother deserve it? No. Would it break her heart and crush her soul? Of course. But you've got to do it." Rapunzel's face fell. "Break her heart?" "In half." "Crush her soul?" I squeezed grape juice dramatically. "Like a grape." "She would be heartbroken. You're right." Rapunzel slumped against a tree. I felt a twinge of something. Guilt? Couldn't be. Flynn Rider doesn't do guilt. But seeing her so dejected didn't sit right with me. I can't believe I'm saying this, but maybe she doesn't have to know. What she doesn't know won't kill her, right? Rapunzel perked up. Oh, you're right. I'll just see the lanterns and be back before she knows I'm gone. It'll be our little secret." As we continued our trek, I found myself paying more attention to Rapunzel's reactions to the world around her. Her joy was infectious. Her wonder at the simplest things, both amusing and oddly touching. We were making good time until we heard the thundering of hooves. "Uh-oh," I muttered, recognizing the sound. Palace guards. "Is everything okay?" Rapunzel asked, clutching her frying pan. Yeah, of course. We just need to take a little detour." I grabbed her hand without thinking and pulled her off the path. We ducked behind a rock formation just as the guards galloped past. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding. That's when I noticed I was still holding Rapunzel's hand. I dropped it quickly, clearing my throat. "Sorry, you hungry? I know a great place for lunch." Rapunzel beamed. "Oh, yes. I've never eaten in a real restaurant before." I grinned, an idea forming. "Oh, you're gonna love this place. Trust me." The Snuggly Duckling, a place where the roughest, toughest thugs in the kingdom gathered to drink, fight, and generally be menacing. Perfect for scaring a naive tower girl back home. Or so I thought. "Garçon, your finest table, please," I announced as we entered, gesturing grandly at the room full of bruisers, cutthroats, and ne'er-do-wells. Rapunzel gasped, clutching her frying pan tightly. "Flynn, this is... Yep, pretty scary, right? Maybe we should go. I mean, this is no place for a delicate flower like yourself. Back to your tower, where it's safe?" "This is amazing!" Wait, what? Before I could process what was happening, Rapunzel was mingling with the thugs, asking about their lives, their dreams, and they were responding. I watched in disbelief as hardened criminals started opening up about their secret passions for interior design, mime, and cupcake baking. "Flynn, did you know that Hook Hand here plays the piano?" Rapunzel beamed, gesturing to a particularly menacing-looking thug. I was about to respond when I noticed a wanted poster on the wall. My face with that ridiculous nose. And suddenly, recognition dawned in the eyes of the patrons. "Is this you?" one of them growled, holding up the poster. Things escalated quickly. One moment I was trying to talk my way out of trouble, the next I was being manhandled toward the door. "Go get the guards!" someone shouted. That's when Rapunzel stepped in. Using her hair like a lasso, she wrapped it around a wooden beam and swung it around, knocking the tankard out of the thug's hand. "Put him down," she demanded. The room fell silent. All eyes were on the slip of a girl with impossibly long hair and a determined glint in her eye. "Okay, I don't know where I am, and I need him to take me to see the lanterns because I've been dreaming about them my entire life. Find your humanity. Haven't any of you ever had a dream?" I held my breath, certain we were about to become pub decor. But then something incredible happened. The thugs softened. They started sharing their dreams, singing about their hopes and aspirations. It was surreal, watching these hardened criminals belt a musical number about following their hearts. Just as I was starting to think we might make it out of this alive, the doors burst open. The Stabbington brothers. And they didn't look happy. "Go!" Hookman whispered urgently, revealing a secret passage behind the bar. "Live your dream." "I will," I said, puffing out my chest. "Your dream stinks. I was talking to her." Ouch. Rapunzel and I ducked into the passage just as the royal guards arrived. As we hurried through the dark tunnel, I couldn't help but marvel at what just happened. This girl, with nothing but a frying pan and an unmistakable belief in the goodness of people, had turned a bar full of thugs into allies. "You know," I said as we emerged into daylight, "I've got to say, I didn't expect you to handle that so well back there." Rapunzel grinned, twirling her frying pan. "I know. I was scared at first, but then, I don't know. I just felt like I had to try. And it worked." I was about to respond when I heard shouts behind us. The tunnel exit collapsed, water gushing out along with Maximus. That darned horse. "Run!" I grabbed Rapunzel's hand and we took off. We found ourselves on a ledge above a deep gorge. A rickety dam stood between us and freedom, but it was starting to crack under the pressure of the burst tunnel. "I'll go first," I said, eyeing the unstable wooden structure. To, test it out. But before I could move, Rapunzel had already swung across using her hair, landing gracefully on the other side. She grinned at me, hair still wrapped around a beam. "Well, come on, Flynn." As I swung across, narrowly avoiding Maximus's snapping jaws, I realized something. This girl, this strange, wonderful, fearless girl, was changing everything. My plans, my perspective, maybe even me. The dam bursts. Water rushed towards us. In a split-second decision, I yelled, "Rapunzel, your hair!" She understood immediately, wrapping her golden locks around my hand just as the flood hit. We swung, tumbling into the cave as rocks and water sealed the entrance behind us. Darkness engulfed us. Water was rising fast. As we searched desperately for a way out, I couldn't help but think that if this was the end, at least I was with someone who had shown me there was more to life than just looking out for number one. But our story wasn't over yet. Not by a long shot. Water was rising fast in the cave. Rapunzel and I searched frantically for a way out, our hands scraping against rough stones. "It's no use," I gasped, coming up for air. "I can't see anything." Then, something unexpected happened. Rapunzel took a deep breath and started to sing. "Flower gleam and glow, let your power shine." To my amazement, her hair began to glow, illuminating the cave with a soft golden light. I was so shocked I nearly swallowed a mouthful of water. "Her hair glows. Her hair actually glows. Why does her hair glow?" "Eugene! Rapunzel called out, ignoring my bewilderment. What? It doesn't just glow. Before I could process that cryptic statement, I noticed her hair was being pulled towards a pile of rocks. We swam over and started digging. Just as the water reached the cave ceiling, we broke through, tumbling out into the riverbank in a cascade of water and gasping breaths. As we caught our breath on the shore, I couldn't help but stare at Rapunzel. So, you're being strangely cryptic as you wrap your magic hair around my injured hand. She winced. Please don't freak out. I watched, stunned, as she sang that song again. Her hair glowed once more, and I felt a warm tingling in my hand. When she unwrapped it, the cut was gone, completely healed. I'm not freaking out, I said, my voice unnaturally high. Are you freaking out? No, I'm just interested in your hair and the magical qualities it possesses. How long has it been doing that exactly? Rapunzel sighed. Forever, I guess. My mother says when I was a baby, people tried to cut it. They wanted to take it for themselves. But once it's cut, it turns brown and loses its power. She pulled back her hair to reveal a short brown lock. A gift that it has to be protected. That's why I never left, and... She trailed off, and I felt a pang in my chest. All her life she'd been hidden away, told the world was too dangerous. And here she was, out in the world, trusting me, a thief, with her secret. You never left that tower? I finished softly. She nodded, looking vulnerable in a way that made me want to protect her, which was ridiculous. Flynn Rider doesn't protect people. He looked out for himself. But maybe, just maybe, Eugene Fitzherbert did. I cleared my throat. You're still not going to tell my nose why you're so cryptic, are you? She laughed, the tension breaking. So, Eugene Fitzherbert, huh? I groaned. Yeah. I'll spare you the sob story of a poor orphan Eugene Fitzherbert. It's a little bit of a downer. But to my surprise, Rapunzel scooted closer, her eyes wide with interest. So I found myself telling her about the orphanage, about the book that inspired me to become Flynn Rider. As I spoke, I realized I'd never shared this with anyone before. I'm sorry, Rapunzel said softly when I finished. That must have been hard. I shrugged, trying to play it cool. You can't miss what you never had, right? She placed her hand on mine, and I felt a warmth that had nothing to do with her magical hair. I think you missed out on a lot, Eugene. But you know what? So did I. Maybe we can make up for the lost time together. I looked into her eyes, seeing a mix of hope, determination, and something else I couldn't quite name. In that moment, I realized I was in dangerous territory. Flynn Rider didn't do feelings. Flynn Rider didn't care about lost princesses with magic hair. But Eugene Fitzherbert, he was starting to care. A lot. I should get some more firewood, I said, standing up abruptly. As I walked into the woods, I tried to shake off these unfamiliar feelings. I had a plan. Get the crown, get rich, live my dream. But now, looking back at Rapunzel sitting by the fire, her hair glowing softly in the twilight, I wasn't so sure what my dream was anymore. I hadn't gone far into the woods when I heard a voice in the distance. Well, I thought he'd never leave. I peered around a tree and saw an older woman speaking to Rapunzel. I could hear her gasp, "Mother?" This must have been the evil woman who had kept her up in that tower. I sat quietly and listened. I watched as Rapunzel tried to explain, to justify her adventure, but the old woman wasn't having it. She produced the satchel, my satchel, the one with the crown inside. I could hear her say, "This is why he's here. Give it to him. Watch, you'll see." I felt my heart sink. The crown, my ticket to wealth and freedom. But as I looked at Rapunzel's confused face, I realized it didn't matter anymore. None of it did. I heard Rapunzel say she would give it to me, surprising both me and the woman. "I'll give him the crown and prove you wrong." The old woman's face darkened. "If he's lying, don't come crying to me," she hissed before disappearing into the shadows. I made my way back to the campfire, my mind racing. Rapunzel looked at me, her eyes full of conflicting emotions. "So," I said, trying to keep my voice light, "what's the plan for tomorrow?" Rapunzel hesitated. I think it's time to see those lanterns." We settled in for the night, but sleep eluded me. I kept thinking about the crown, about Rapunzel's trust in me, about the way my heart raced when she smiled. I was in deep, and I knew it. The next morning we set off for the kingdom. As we approached the bridge leading into the city, Rapunzel froze. "Hey," I said gently, "you okay?" She took a deep breath. "I've been looking out a window for 18 years, dreaming of what I might find when those lights rise in the sky. What if it's not everything I dreamt it would be?" I looked at her, this girl who had turned my world upside down in just a couple of days. "It will be," I assured her. "And what if it is? What do I do then?" I smiled. "Well, that's the good part, I guess. You get to go find a new dream." As we walked into the bustling city, I watched Rapunzel's face light up with wonder. Every sight, every sound was new to her. We danced in the town square, sampled treats from the market, and even got to help some local kids create a massive chalk mural. As the day wore on, I found myself forgetting about the crown, about my plans for wealth and solitude. All that mattered was Rapunzel's joy, her excitement at experiencing the world for the first time. Finally, as the sun began to set, I led her to a small boat. "Best day of your life?" I asked as we pushed off from the shore. "I figured you should have a decent seat." Rapunzel's eyes shimmered with anticipation. "This is it," she whispered. And then it began. The first lantern rose from the castle, followed by thousands more. The sky filled with floating lights, just like in Rapunzel's dreams. As we sat in the boat, surrounded by the glowing lanterns, Rapunzel turned to me. "I have something for you," she said softly, producing the satchel with the crown. I looked at the crown, then back to her. In that moment, I knew. The crown, my old dream, it all paired in comparison to what I felt for Rapunzel. "I should have given it to you before, but I was just scared," she admitted. "And the thing is, I'm not scared anymore. You know what I mean?" I pushed the satchel aside. "I'm starting to," I said, taking her hands in mine. As we leaned in, our faces inches apart, I felt a peace I'd never known before. This was it. This was what I'd been searching for all along. But our moment was interrupted by a sight on the shore. The Stabbington brothers, my former partners in crime. They held up a green lantern, our signal. "Is everything okay?" Rapunzel asked, noticing my distraction. I looked at her, then back at the shore. I had to protect her. "I'm sorry," I said. "Everything is fine. There's just something I have to take care of." I rowed the boat to the shore, my mind racing. I had to deal with the Stabbington brothers, to keep Rapunzel safe. "I'll be right back," I promised, grabbing the satchel with the crown. Rapunzel looked worried, but she nodded. "Okay." I made my way to where I'd seen the brothers, the weight of the crown heavy in my hands. "Ah, there you are," I called out, trying to sound casual. "I've been searching everywhere for you guys since we got separated. Hey, the sideburns are coming in nice, huh? Gotta be excited about that." They didn't respond, just glowered at me menacingly. I sighed. "Anyhow, I just wanted to say, I shouldn't have split. The crown is all yours." I tossed the satchel to them. "I'll miss you, but I think it's for the best." As I turned to leave, one of them spoke. "Holding out on us again, eh, Ryder?" I froze. "What?" "We've heard you found something. Something more valuable than the crown." The other brother sneered. "We want her instead." My blood ran cold. They knew about Rapunzel's hair. I opened my mouth to protest, to negotiate, anything. But before I could speak, something hard hit the back of my head, and everything went black. When I came to, I was tied to a boat, the crown fastened to my hand. I could hear guards approaching. "Rapunzel!" I muttered, struggling against the ropes. But it was too late. The guards were upon me. "Look! The crown!" one of them shouted. As they dragged me away, my mind was filled with only one thought: Rapunzel. I had to get back to her, to warn her, to protect her. Meanwhile, Rapunzel waited anxiously on the shore. "Eugene?" she called out, her voice trembling. Suddenly, she saw two hulking figures approaching through the mist. Relief flooded her, until she realized it wasn't me. "He's gone," one of the Stabbington brothers growled. "What?" Rapunzel's voice was barely a whisper. "He took the crown and left. He played you, Blondie." Rapunzel's world shattered. She ran, tears streaming down her face, calling my name, but I wasn't there to answer. Just when all seemed lost, a familiar voice called out, "Rapunzel!" "Mother?" Rapunzel sobbed, collapsing into her mother's arms. "Oh, my precious girl," stroking Rapunzel's hair. "I tried to warn you. The world is dark and selfish and cruel. If it finds even the slightest ray of sunshine, it destroys it." As her mother led a heartbroken Rapunzel back to the tower, I was being thrown into a prison cell. "Let me out!" I shouted, rattling the bars. "You don't understand! She's in trouble!" But my pleas fell on deaf ears. As the reality of my situation sank in, I slumped against the wall. I had failed her. After everything we'd been through, after finally understanding what truly mattered, I had let Rapunzel down. Little did I know the truth was far more sinister than either of us realized. Back in the tower, as Rapunzel sat despondently on her bed, she noticed something. The kingdom's sun symbol, hidden in her paintings. As she looked closer, more and more of them appeared, triggering a flood of long-buried memories. "I'm the long-lost princess," she gasped, the realization hitting her like a thunderbolt. Her mother tried to dismiss her claim, but Rapunzel stood her ground. "It was you," she accused. "You took me from my real family." As the full extent of her mother's betrayal became clear, Rapunzel's world turned upside down once again. She wasn't just a girl with magical hair. She was the lost princess of Corona, stolen as a baby by a woman who only wanted her for her power. Meanwhile, in my cell, I was visited by an unlikely group of allies, the thugs from the Snuggly Duckling. "We've come to break you out," Hook Hand whispered. As they helped me escape, my mind was focused on one thing: getting back to Rapunzel. I had to make things right, to tell her the truth, to save her from whatever danger she was in. I raced through the forest on the back of Maximus, the horse who had once been my pursuer and was now my unlikely ally. The wind whipped through my hair as we galloped towards Rapunzel's tower, my heart pounding with a mixture of fear and determination. I had to reach her. I had to explain, had to make sure she was safe. As the tower came into view, I leapt off of Maximus and ran to the base. "Rapunzel!" I shouted, my voice echoing in the quiet clearing. "Rapunzel, let down your hair!" There was no response. Panic rising in my chest as I began to climb the tower, my fingers scraping against the rough stone. Just as I reached the window, a cascade of golden hair tumbled down. Relief flooded through me as I grabbed onto it and pulled myself up. "Rapunzel, I thought I'd never see you again." I gasped as I climbed through the window, but the sight that greeted me turned my blood to ice. Rapunzel was chained and gagged, her eyes wide in terror. Before I could react, a soaring pain shot through my side. I looked down to see a dagger protruding from my abdomen, her mother's hand on the hilt. "Now, look what you've done, Rapunzel," she said coldly. "Oh, don't worry, dear. Our secret will die with him." As I collapsed to the floor, Rapunzel struggled against her chains. "Oh!" she cried, her voice muffled by the gag. Her mother turned to drag Rapunzel away, but she resisted. "If you let me save him, I'll go with you," Rapunzel pleaded, having managed to remove her gag. "I'll never run. I'll never try to escape. Just let me heal him, and you and I will be together, forever, just like you want. Everything will be the way it was. I promise. Just like you want. Just let me heal him." I wanted to tell her no, to refuse her sacrifice, but the pain was overwhelming. Her mother considered for a moment, then nodded. She unchained Rapunzel, but kept me shackled to the floor. "Eugene!" Rapunzel cried, rushing to my side. "Oh, I'm sorry. Everything is going to be okay, though." "No, Rapunzel," I managed to gasp out. "I promise. You have to trust me," she said, her eyes filling with tears. "No," I repeated, my voice stronger. I couldn't let her do this, couldn't let her sacrifice her freedom for me. With the last of my strength, I reached up and grabbed a shard of broken mirror nearby. "I can't let you do this." And before she could stop me, I sliced through her hair, cutting away the magic that had kept her captive for so long. "Eugene, what?" Rapunzel gasped, watching in horror as her hair turned brown, the magic fading away. "No!" her mother screamed, frantically gathering the cut hair, but it was too late. The magic was gone, and with it, her youth. She staggered backwards aging rapidly, and fell out of the tower window, disappearing into dust before she even hit the ground. "No, no, no," Rapunzel sobbed, cradling my face in her hands. "Eugene, why did you do that?" I smiled weakly. "You were my new dream," I whispered. "And you were mine," she replied, tears streaming down her face. As my eyes began to close, I heard Rapunzel's voice, soft and desperate, singing the healing incantation one last time. "Flowers gleam and glow, let your power shine." I felt a warmth spreading through me, different from before, but somehow familiar. When I opened my eyes, Rapunzel was looking down at me, her now short brown hair framing her tear-stained face. "Rapunzel?" I murmured, reaching up to touch her cheek. "Eugene!" she cried, throwing her arms around me. As we embraced, I realized that this was it. This was the dream I'd been searching for all along. Not wealth, not adventure, but love. Pure, selfless love. We made our way down from the tower, ready to face whatever came next, together. Rapunzel was nervous about meeting her real parents, about taking on her role as the princess, but I assured her that we'd figure it out together. And so, that's how Flynn Rider died, and Eugene Fitzherbert got the girl. Or rather, how the lost princess found a thief, and they both found their true selves. It wasn't the ending I expected when I first climbed that tower, but it was better than any ending I could have imagined. As we rode towards the kingdom, Rapunzel's arms wrapped around my waist, and the wind in our hair, I knew that our greatest adventure was just beginning, and I couldn't wait to see where it would take us.